1897, the most powerful empire on earth sent its soldiers into the heart of West Africa. They came with guns, cannons, and the full force of the British military. They expected to find savages. Instead, they found something that stopped them cold. A civilization so advanced, so sophisticated, so breathtakingly beautiful that they couldn't explain it. So they did the only thing empires do when they can't explain something. They destroyed it. And then they lied about what they found. Long before Europe had running water, before London had paved streets, before most of the world had organized city planning, the Benin Kingdom in present day, Nigeria had already built one of the most sophisticated urban civilizations on Earth, founded around the 11th century and reaching its peak between the 13th and 17th centuries. The Kingdom of Benin, ruled by the Oba, a divine king, was a masterpiece of human organization. The capital city, Benin City, was described by European visitors as larger than Amsterdam. Its streets were wide, clean, and lined with trees. Its palaces stretched for miles. Dutch sailor Olfert Dapper, who visited in the 1600s, wrote that the city was so well organized, it put European cities to shame. He described a royal palace so vast it could fit the entire town of Haarlem inside it. But what truly shocked the world, and still does today, were the bronzes. Hundreds of intricately cast bronze plaques, sculptures, and figures decorating every wall of the royal palace. Each one a masterpiece of metallurgy and artistic detail that rival anything produced in Renaissance Europe. The technique used, called lost wax casting, requires extraordinary skill and knowledge of metalworking. European scientists in the 1800s literally refused to believe Africans had made them. Some claimed they must have been made by a lost Portuguese expedition. Others suggested they were remnants of Atlantis. The truth was simpler and more powerful. The people of Benin had mastered bronze casting centuries before Europe arrived. They had been doing it since at least the 13th century. The bronzes weren't a mystery. They were just African excellence, and the world wasn't ready to accept that. The Benin Kingdom didn't just build beautiful things. It defended them fiercely. The Oba commanded one of the most disciplined and feared military forces in West Africa. For centuries, Benin expanded its territory, controlled trade routes, and kept European powers at bay. Portuguese traders arrived in the late 1400s and tried to dominate Benin's trade. The Oba negotiated from a position of absolute strength. He allowed trade on his terms, pepper, ivory, and cloth, but refused to allow the slave trade of his own people. The Portuguese had no choice but to agree. For nearly 400 years, Benin maintained this balance of power, trading with Europeans but never submitting to them. It was a relationship built on Benin's terms, and everyone knew it. But by the late 1800s, Britain's appetite for total control of Africa had grown too large for diplomacy. In 1897, a British trade delegation attempted to enter Benin City without the Oba's permission during a sacred festival, a deeply disrespectful act that Benin's chiefs warned against repeatedly. The delegation was ambushed. 8 British officers were killed. Britain called it a massacre and used it as justification for what came next, the punitive expedition of 1897 to 1,200 British soldiers descended on Benin City. They burned the palace. They looted everything. Thousands of bronze sculptures, ivory carvings, and sacred artifacts, centuries of Benin's history and culture, were packed into crates and shipped to London. The Oba was captured and exiled to Calabar, where he died alone. In a single week, Britain destroyed what had taken Benin 600 years to build. Today, over 3,000 Benin bronzes sit in museums across Europe and America. The British Museum alone holds over 900 of them. Nigeria has been requesting their return for decades. In 2022 to 125 years later, some museums began returning small collections. Germany returned over 1,100 pieces. The conversation finally started moving. But the majority remain abroad, displayed as exotic curiosities, stripped of the context, the culture, and the people they belong to. The Benin Kingdom never needed Europe to validate its greatness. It was great long before they arrived. And the bronzes, whether in Lagos or London, still tell that story to anyone willing to listen. They came to Benin expecting to find nothing. They found everything, and because they couldn't explain it, they took it. But you cannot take a people's identity. You cannot burn away a legacy that is written in bronze. The Benin Kingdom stood for 600 years. Its story will stand forever. The silent mentor, because history whispers. We listen. Subscribe. The next secret is already waiting.